selection or due diligence and the debugging. Now this happens to me, to myself, and I'm sure that happened to at least some of you. That how many of you actually analyze the data, use the software, get the results, do simulations? Raise your hand. Okay. So for those of you probably know that whenever you get the results, right, you look at, does it make sense? If it doesn't make sense, you're going to go back. Well, there's a bug, right? I need to double check it because this just doesn't make sense. But if it looks like makes sense, you probably will not check that much, right? Okay. That actually, it sounds right. You say, well, why should I check that something like already fits my theory? Well, I always told my students that whenever something fits your theory, triple check it. Because you're going to move on. You think you got it, okay? And I can tell you how often that you actually are wrong. And you convince yourself because the results looks just like what you want, okay? And so so whenever I do things, now this is the benefit of become a professor, and I hope some of you become a professor soon, that whenever I can, I will have two groups of students to independently do the results using different software, different algorithm, whenever I can. It's not always possible. If they get the same answer, it gives me a lot more confidence. Believe me, that's actually a statistical principle called a replication. N equal to 2 is far better than N equal to 1. Okay? Now, there's a chance that two people still make a mistake, make exactly the same mistake. That's possible. But that chance is far less. If you can afford having 3 people, that's even better. But most times you can't. Okay? But on the other hand, if you look at these physics, these all big discoveries, you know how carefully they check how many groups they need to replicate because they want to make sure that the thing is just right. In other studies, we don't check as often as carefully as physicists because they have these fundamental laws, right? Remember a few years ago, somebody published results saying, something could travel faster than speed of light, right? And everybody started panicking. Everybody started check. I was looking at that thing, I said, I wish like in other studies, like in medical study or social study, you can check, but we won't be able to do it. But there, people were so convinced Einstein was right. This experiment had to be wrong, right? They check. Eventually, you guys know the story, right? You know what they discovered? It was a loose plug. That was enough to kill the thing. Now, imagine if that's going to happen in a medical study. You're going to have so many people to check that one loose plug? Probably not. That's the danger. Okay? Because there's a well understood theory that people just really believe the theory. They not want to overturn this entire physics. They work so hard, right? In other areas, we probably won't, okay? But the kind of tendency of just calling, oh yeah, that looks right, let me just move on. You just need to guard it against yourself, okay? I don't mean that make you paralyzed that every time you do everything, but you just need to keep that in mind. Because, especially if you think this is really important, check. Finding different ways to check, find intuitions, find simple cases to see whether this thing works.